Alright guys, it's Copper Cutlass. Happy Sunday fun day. We just got done with dinner. Made some carne asada. Love that shit, because, you know, we're not celebrating any particular Independence Day or anything. We don't do that shit. At least, you know, unless America. But anyway, you guys probably saw a video of me talking about the 350 olds that I was selling. And somebody asked the question, what heads, what blah, blah, blah. I'm not giving you shit, but it's just a basic 350. It's a 73 short block that was freshened up with 14cc pistons with 72 7/8 heads. It's a good running engine. For the money, you shouldn't complain. It's a running engine that runs great, and it's engine, transmission, converter, carb, distributor, ready to just put in. But anyway, what we're going to talk about is a couple of things. Today, I met up with JJ, even though it was briefly. Him and his family were going up to Six Flags, Great America, which is just north of me. And I picked up the solid roller lifters for the next engine. Now, we do have a couple of options because we have stocked up on parts, which is part of the reason why I'm selling this. Is the last thing I need is another engine lying around here. Like I need a fucking hole in the head. But this car still runs good. The last weekend we ran it, dude, it did a string of 1140s at 115, almost 116. And it just, when we're running the index class, you want to be at a certain end of that open 10th. And let's just say, we couldn't run this thing really wide open. But it did run in 1146. The density altitude didn't go under 1,000, and it was maybe in the 60s. So I think if we get some mine shaft air and we take the car out, it should see an 1130 something, which would be really good because this engine hasn't slowed down, and we got 5 absolutely solid seasons of racing. And by that, I mean our points program. Engine's been in the car for 7 years, and it's been on the track a lot. Those early years, it did see a lot of street driving. Used to drive it a lot. And then we just decided to go racing because going to cruise nights is boring. I mean, I like looking at cars, but I don't have the patience to just sit around and I like going to cruise nights, grabbing a bite with my buddies, shooting the shit, drinking a beer or two, and then we're done. Can't sit there on a lawn chair with our New Balances reminiscing about the old times because, you know, the current times are pretty damn good if you ask me. But anyway, I got the 427 short block out built. That's sitting over at my machine shop. And with the job change, my availability in the evenings isn't going to be as much. So we have to do some of the work on the weekends, and I got to talk to my machinist. He knew that I was changing shops, but I'm highly leaning towards actually aluminum heads on a 427. If I can get this engine and transmission sold, that will help us out. I'm going to end up running the Turbo 350 with the Ultra Belt in it because that transmission is literally a $2,500 paperweight minus the converter that's sitting next to it. All said and done, there's almost about $3,000 sitting there. And that's a $500 torque converter, all said and done. But I can't run that torque converter with a 427 because, again, we're going to go do 6 summer with this. So I think I'm going to end up putting a 373 gear in this with like a Yukon Posi unit. And then I got to hit up Brian Trick, which he's helped me out a lot with diff work and some of the weird patterns I've had in the past. He's a really good source of information. A lot of the old school guys know him. He's helped me out. And I want to put a 373 with a Yukon grip unit in the back, or a Detroit, the helical cut type, if they have one. There's some with the corporate rear ends where I don't think I can run that, but don't quote me on that. But either way, we're going to do 373 gear because I used to drive around the street with 373 gears, 390s all the time. I'm comfortable with that. And the 427 Chevys should definitely be happy with that. It's a big bore, short stroke, so it's not like going to be really overworking that engine. We're going to be shorter on the RPM for the power band because of the camshaft I chose, but we're going to be right there at like peak, you know, like that thing will be happy. But we're going to end up running the Turbo 350 with the Ultra Belt because we got it. And we're going to need a lot of little things like headers, different motor mounts for the frame and the engine, and we got to beef up the rear end for the big block. And I do plan on changing some of the front suspension. I got to have my buddy Tim scale it, and we're going to do coilovers in the front. And I'm going to end up going with a slightly stiffer rate because the coilovers, as we learned on 6 Summer with Tim's car, they wear out. It's a thinner spring. But I want to do coilovers in the front because it's easier to do. Let me tell you, doing coil springs on these GM cars is, one, not only dangerous, but two, it fucking sucks. And I have the right tool. And I'm not talking about a regular spring compressor. I'm talking about the spring compressor that GM actually used, where they actually pull a bolt through the frame with a huge washer, 2 hooks, and they held the spring to the frame versus the spring being held on by a tool. It's a much better tool, but it still sucks. On this car, I fought the springs each side to get them in, but they're like curled in there because they're super tall. But it's part of the reason why this car launches really good is we got really tall springs in there, and it statically sits pretty good. Probably a little higher than a stock Cutlass, but we're not short on suspension travel, and ultimately it makes it up my driveway, which I got to make a video on explaining that, because unless you know me and you've been to my house, you understand that this car has almost scraped off the flange off the headers. This car not so much, and this car sits lower than this one, and it's longer, so that's insult to injury. But the whole idea is that this car is just going to sit. This car is going to be our main car that we race. So really, I'm trying to keep this car somewhere in the 11s so that I can keep running street heat, because I think the cutoff in street heat is 12.0. But if not, then we'll end up doing one of the other classes in Index and run Sportsman. But we've done really good in Pro and in street heat with this car, so I'm really, really split. But the idea is to, one, get this car built over the winter, like I mentioned before, and we're going to race this car next year, and we're just going to drive it to the track, and we're going to drive it home. We're not going to tow it. If it breaks, somebody can give me a ride to pick up the trailer and the truck, and we'll bring it home. But really, I actually miss those days of driving to the track and driving back. I love camping with my buddies. I love doing that. But as you guys know, when we hurt this car, when my wife broke her leg, we didn't have time to get it out. We took this out, and we drove it there, and we drove home, and it held up. And it's a good engine. So if anybody's interested in this engine, hit me up, message me. I'm in the Northern Illinois area. But we do have work to do. And I plan on changing out the stock buckets. I'm going to stow them away. We're going to put lighter seats in there. And for 6 Summer, when we run it, I'm going to take the back seat out for extra storage. And then I'm also going to have the trunk, which you can fit like 4 dead bodies back there. So there's a lot of room in this car for what we need. And after doing 6 Summer last week with my buddy Tim, we both have learned what not to bring and what to bring. And not only that, but how to stow it. We learned that the container bins worked against us because you lose a lot of room. Circular in shape is better, duffel bags. So we kind of learned that as we went on. Our operation throughout the week got tighter. But either way, we are going to start digging into this car as soon as we are done racing. This car is going to get shoved up against the wall as per usual whenever we're working on a car. But this whole front end is going to come off the car. We're going to get it up on jack stands, set up to where we can work on it. And we have to mock up. I do have a friend who's going to loan me a 454 block with some heads just for mock up. We do have to try some headers. We got options on what guys have said have worked on this chassis platform, because this chassis platform did not come with a 454, even in a Caprice. So we're using a 427. I know I referenced the 454 because it's the most common big block out there, but we also have to do some cross member work. I may have my buddy Tim TIG weld me up a nice cross member that will work. And then we have to redo the exhaust, which I think I'm going to probably steal the exhaust from the race car for this car and just do that. At the end of the day, we're trying to keep things cheap, so that's why another reason I'm going to use that, because there's no reason why I should build a transmission when that one has been sitting there. The one in the race car is doing good, and I don't think the 427 is going to make enough power to hurt that turbo 350. I think you guys are probably not going to understand this, but I originally had built that 427 to be like slightly better than stock. So like your average 427 was like a 390 horse deal. If it was a solid lifter vet deal, it was a 425, 427. So I got a better cam in there that came in the 450, 427. We got the 063 heads that have been flowed, and they got a little bit of bowl work and stuff done to them. I'm thinking we might make somewhere in the neighborhood of 440, maybe 450. So hopefully it'll push this pig somewhere into the 1190s. I'll be happy with that. That's kind of the goal. And this car it cruises well, so it should be fun. But anyway, happy Sunday fun day. We got done with dinner. I'm enjoying a beer. It's been a long weekend. I've been working on the house. Even though it's been long, it's been nice. Settling into the new shop has been going pretty good. Things have been going great. We have been busy. So on that note, I'll sign off. Share, like, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. Go check out the other video if you're interested in this engine.